It does it for
You're
1 minute, of
live.
course.
Okay. So it sent the feed, but it didn't actually like
Oh, so
go
it was
away.
stuck in the
Flip it
the
on.
post load essentially.
Yep. Should be good now. Woot woot.
Woo! All right.
Yep, we're good.
I was
Okay.
sweating bullets, except I can't do that.
Right?
I was sweating something else.
Open Sousa green.
Yes, he's dumping it. Perfect.
This is going to be interesting.
It shall be quite the party. Okay, so we're going to need a sync word again, but we can't have one of our typical sync words. So
Like Matt is awesome.
there we go.
I
That
know.
would be perfect.
Except for that's a lie according to you, and we know it.
I don't know why you would say
love
something. Some
Episode 100.
Okay, that works for me. I just made the connection that was your suggestion as as a sync word.
Episode 100.
Episode. Yep.
Yep.
I mean, we have to keep it PG. Might as well keep it as PG as possible.
As clean as we can get. For all of you that are watching the live stream right now, I know I was this way on episode 99, but this is over one of my monitors. My camera is, and I need to see all 4 of them in order to get through this show with the live streams. So you're gonna get a side view again. I'm sorry. It is what it is. But
Hashtag sorry,
these two monitors. These 2 monitors are stacked so close together that I can't put a camera in the middle. If I put it on top, you're going to basically see the top of my head. That doesn't sound appealing. And I'm not putting it lower because nobody needs to see up my nose.
I was like, okay? Nose cam. Okay. Nose cams are fun.
Right?
They're fun for everyone except for those watching.
I was going to say, Wendy, you have a Dell, so we can make that happen, right?
I do have a Dell laptop. We could potentially make that happen.
I was gonna say we can give you the nose cam.
No.
Just not very team player-ish, right there, Nate?
Yes, I'm very anti-team player.
Well,
without a doubt.
What can you do? Can't win them all, Matt.
I don't know. Okay, let me drop this here. And then I will go ahead and get us started.
This is why nobody shows up for our live streams.
Well, I mean, to be fair, this is our first one since I got Starlink Internet. I don't even remember when we had the last live stream, but this is definitely the first one since I switched over internet companies. Or more than a year, I would say. Probably closer to like 1.5 years or 2-ish. I know it's definitely been a while.
So I should tell you, Wendy, I'm actually very nervous in front of a camera.
Are you?
I am very nervous. Yeah.
I mean, you do have a lot of good reasons to be.
You're great. It's fantastic. You'll do fine. Just don't look
freeze
at
up. No, I want to feel better about myself.
Oh, I already know where he was going with that one. As Nate just off camera.
Slowly moves.
It's so hard being me.
Okay, so it's shared in the LOL chat that we are now live. That should be good to go. I will try to monitor the chats. I will do my best. And by best, no, I will fail. Okay.
It's okay if you do.
If I fail, good, because it's going to happen.
I got the chat pulled up on my secondary monitor there, Wendy,
Okay,
so I'll take care of
sweet.
that.
All right, so I'll do the countdown. We'll do 100th or 100 episodes. What do you?
Either or.
I have a feeling I'll stumble over 100th right now, but we can go
So
with that.
100. Just do 100.
That
then.
hey, perfect.
Or episode
Okay.
number 100.
Too many
Or
words.
just 100.
100. 100.
We've had statement sync words before. Okay. 3, 2, 1. 100.
100.
Perfect. Beautiful.
What'd you say, Matt?
Huh? What? Huh?
Huh?
What?
Nothing. He said nothing. Absolutely.
I said nothing.
Nothing. I almost said something I shouldn't. Okay. Let's get this thing started. This is going to be an adventure. I don't know how we're going to do this.
We'll do just fine.
A lot of laughing.
A lot of laughing when we know. The thing is we've been doing this show long enough that we pretty much know what the other person would have said when the giggling starts, so it's cool. I get it.
Yeah.
We get it. It's all good. Ready? Linux Out Loud is firing up our mics, connecting those headphones as we prepare to get rowdy. Oh, wait, we've already been rowdy and we're just getting started. I'm Wendy and I'm joined by my fellow co-hosts, Nate and Matt. We're 3 friends sitting around a virtual table talking Linux, open source tech, gaming, and everything in between. We keep the banter friendly, maybe not according to some, but it works for us. The conversation's somewhat on topic and have fun doing it. This week, we're spouting off about desktop design and project naming changes. Let's get into episode 100. All right, you crazy two, we're here on a day that we're usually not, and we've got this one going live, so it should be extra interesting. It already has been, as we've been in the members-only Discord before we went live. So, Nate, you have a laptop that is definitely on my wish list. You've bought some for work and the like. So tell us all about this framework that's got more monitors than my desktop.
Yes, so I've become quite the fan of the Framework laptop. I've had it for since summer of 23, and it's been a great machine. I've used it. I've traveled overseas with it. In fact, like Michael Tinnell, we went to the Ubuntu Summit, and I had my Framework there for it. And in my since I'm the IT manager for where I work, we've purchased, I think, well over 20 Framework laptops now. It's probably like 20, 25 now, or of sorts, and 25, around 25. And working very well. In fact, we got our first repair we're going to do because someone who just got their laptop, I guess, dropped it. It's got lines going through the screen, so that's exciting. Anyway, but it's an easy fix. It's like a 5-10 minute fix, and then we're off to the races. But anyway, the laptop is a smaller, this Framework 13, so it's the 13.5-inch screen, a little bit small. And so if you want to do a lot of, productivity type things, you need more screen real estate. So
right.
it grew out kind of step by step. So at first I started with putting 2 screens along the side of it because the portable screen I already had wouldn't quite sit on top. It was just too wide for it. And so I two monitors to the side. And that was great, like having 3 monitors on a laptop setup that was very portable. I loved it. And then I thought, well, I think that other portable, I can put that on top. So I put that other portable on top, and so I had so I had 4 screens with it. And then I got to thinking, I bet I could run DisplayLink devices monitors off of this. So I got 2 of these HP 14-inch 1080p monitors that I put on, and I 3D printed some designs of mine to make this all work together, and I put that on top. And I'm like, wow, this is great, but man, 6 monitors or 6 panels anyway, it just isn't quite enough. And I could push the DisplayLink drivers for a 3rd monitor, but it just was kind of unstable. So I ended up getting, because of Matt, this JSOX Flip Go monitor, which, by the way, it's very well designed and engineered. It feels really good. It's got a metal chassis, so it I don't know, it's probably some like aluminum magnesium. I have no idea what it's made out of. I didn't
But
start scraping
solid
it, trying to figure it
anyway,
out.
yeah.
Solid. And in fact, so they were so nice. I bought one for each plant that I'm a manager of, so that for portable,
wow.
so when people go portable, they can take it with them. We'll see if I get them back. But anyway,
Matt says no.
so it's like it's one monitor, but it flips open, and you have like looks like two monitors
For two
and
separate panels. Okay.
two panels, but it'll act as one monitor. And the cool thing is, per the specifications, the pixel, the width and height pixels for each panel down to the brightness is identical to what's in the Framework 13. So I pre-ordered that. I got all the bells and whistles because I thought, why not? Which, by the way, most of them were kind of a waste. But anyway, that aside, it's a great monitor. And I decided to put that above my Framework. So I ended up having 7 panels. It's 6 screens from a logical sense, but it's 7 panels. And it's a great workstation. I like using it. Although I will say sometimes the display link drivers get a little bit ropey in Linux. Not that they're all that much better in Windows, but it's just something like with a kernel update, sometimes you get some weird stuff. Like right now, 6.11 and display link just don't seem to be working together for the kernel. I did file a bug report, although these are community packages. Don't know if it's going to go anywhere, and with the whole Bugzilla thing, but we'll find out.
Right.
Anyway, I wrote a little article on it for on cubicallink.com, so you can have that scrolling by instead of seeing my face, which everybody would prefer. And I have on there all the CAD files that I designed. It's all published, so if you want to download it and cobble something similar together, with parts that are out there, feel free.
Nice.
But so it's kind of more of like I'm trying to inspire somebody else to do something cooler than me, which not very hard to do, but anyway, it should hopefully be fun for somebody else, and it's something that people can adapt for their own purposes. But I like it. It's the best workstation setup I've used so far. I have different I have my computer here, and then I have a workstation over here for my Framework as well, which has got an ultra wide and another panel, and that works okay. And at work, I have a dual up, which is like 2 screens, like 2 1440p screens stacked on top of each other, but it's one panel.
Yeah.
That works pretty well too, unless you want to do video conferencing and you have to share your screen. Then everything kind of falls apart.
Yeah.
So you have to have another normal-ish size screen. So I have to use my laptop then. But anyway, all that being said, it was a fun project, very worthwhile. I learned a lot, and now I definitely want to make some changes now that I've been using it for a little while to make it better. What I really want, which is not in the budget, is to get 2 more of those JSOCs dual up screens, or flip up screens, and then instead of having the configuration I have now, so it basically just it would actually reduce the number of monitors logically to 4. But it would be the same number of panels of 7, and would probably be easier then to also manage as well. And also the higher pixel density. You know what? I hate saying this because it pains me to do so, but Ryan kind of poo-poos on 1080p, and I thought,
Yeah.
Ryan, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He thinks he knows hardware, but he really doesn't. Now that I'm using a higher pixel density screen,
it's hard to go back, right? It's hard to go back.
Yeah, like 1080p is kind of sloppy.
When I was buying my portable workstation, aka the massive laptop that I can now edit on, that was kind of one of the things, because I have 4 4K monitors on my desktop, and I didn't want to go back to something less than that on my workstation. That was definitely a major thing for me. And I would love to have external monitors for that system. I know I've talked about it multiple times, broken record again and again and again. But I want to stick with no less than 2K on it as my portable monitors for pretty much the same reason. Plus, on some of those other 2K, 4K monitors, you can get that better color reproduction. And I know that isn't quite a big deal for you, or with the portable that Matt got that he's not using as a portable in his office area, but having that accurate color reproduction is really nice, especially when I'm pulling DaVinci across 2 screens. So I do that on my desktop, and I can't wait to be able to do that on the laptop, because after getting used to having that multi-monitor editing setup, going back to one is doable, but not as easy.
Right. No, I totally get it. And I will say, if you do want looking at portable monitor options, that FlipGo is really quite nice, because basically you have those 2 panels and they close in on each other. And
So is that the one that's at the top of this picture here on
Yes.
the link that you shared? Okay.
Yep, it sure is. So that is it's well built, well designed. It
The one that Matt made you buy?
the one that Matt said I should buy. Yeah, he made me buy it.
Wait, no. I'm not taking the blame this time. No. So I did not tell you to buy that. I introduced you to JSOX, and you on your own, on their announcement, went and purchased it on your own.
Yeah, so Matt made me buy it, and and I will go so far as to say thank you, Matt, for making me buy that. Even though I bought it under duress, it's been the best external monitor, or portable monitor purchase I've ever external monitor.
Nice.
Best portable monitor purchase I've ever made. It really is.
Because wasn't it Steam Deck stuff that brought you to that company in the first place?
Correct.
Yeah.
I needed a dock station for my Steam Deck, which I still use now, and then you get the advertisements from time to time. Then they show their Kickstarter that they had last early, like in springtime, or maybe it was in January, February, sometime. And so like I looked at it and I thought, no, I don't need it. I looked at it, I thought, no, I don't need it. And I looked at it like, man, I really want it. And so I bought it.
Well, good. I'm glad it's been a good purchase. So it's 7 monitors if you're including the one that has essentially 2 different panels on it. That one, it can be vertical or horizontal. You can use it in both configurations, right? Nice.
Yeah, they advertise it as such. Or you can even logically make those 2 separate monitors if you want. So there's you push a little button on the Pro model. I think the standard one, I'm not really sure on. But you can make that. I want it to act as one big panel. That makes it easier for me to manage. So, but anyway,
okay. So, but there's a line on it, right? Isn't there a line between the 2?
Sure, between the panels, yeah.
Yeah. So when you throw stuff up there, is there a line in whatever you're trying to read or view?
Certainly.
Okay, that would drive me nuts.
So I would use them though as 2 separate monitors. So even though they're logically one, because in Plasma, the quick tiling,
the way you tile it. Okay, gotcha.
I just hold meta and I hit up if it's on the main laptop screen, hit up, and then it goes to the top, or actually up. It goes to the top one, and then one less up, and then it goes to the bottom, instead of meta page up for full screen. So I do sometimes like with spreadsheets, I'll use the full. Like I'll actually put the spreadsheets up there because I do like having that full amount, and it doesn't matter if you have a little border there for a spreadsheet. Nobody cares. I think probably for other activities, probably not as much. But for that, it's totally fine. And so, is it is it the best monitor setup out there? No, probably not. But it works really well for me. I enjoy using it when I manage the things I have to manage. When I work from home, for work, it's wonderful. And I think having anything less now than 7 panels would be painful. And that's really sad to say when I think about, I look over there at my Commodore 1084S monitor that I used, which was huge at the time, but it's actually only 13 inches and one monitor. I don't know how I did that before. Like, I can't figure it out.
Right. Yeah, I get that. I absolutely get that. Because like I said, I've got 4 on this system. Matt, how many do you have on yours?
Right now, I'm actually the weird one. I only have, well, I guess you could say 2.5, given the smallness of the other one. So I got the one over here, and I got the main monitor, and then I got the small portable that I use as kind of like system monitoring and stuff.
So he's the one that's slacking the most as far as monitors go. Now, I do have a question here. When it comes to undocking it, how well is that handled?
Yeah. So that's a good question. And the answer is sometimes swimmingly, just absolutely perfect. Sometimes not at all. Sometimes the display link will not come on, or only one will come on. And also the lower two monitors, which are they're actually, it's one cable that powers them both. Sometimes I have to
Okay.
power cycle that device because it will like turn one on but not the other. But the desktop says it is on, but it says it's not getting any signal. I think it's an issue with that monitor contraption itself, because that's happened on other computers that I've tried it on as
Oh,
well.
okay.
So that's not exclusive to my setup. That's probably a flaw with it. It doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't happen enough to make me want to like toss it out the window, but it
Gotcha.
happens just enough. But like this morning, I did updates, and then when everything kind of came back up, I had to like it didn't play nice for just a moment, so I basically just power cycled everything. The other issue too might be the fact that I'm using a Thunderbolt 3, an old Thunderbolt 3 dock that I know is already flawed because like it won't accept firmware updates, and it's got some other like weird issues with it. So it could also be an issue with the dock itself for some of it. And even I mean that the plug on the dock has been used so many times that you don't get that confident, with the USB-C as well.
That it's not going to wiggle out and potentially have some issues there or
right.
whatnot.
So there could be other issues causing any of the pain that I might be having with it. But overall, most of the time when I throw the laptop down, when I gently set the laptop down and I plug it in, everything comes up, no problems. It's actually kind of fun when I shut the thing down at night. When I put it to sleep, how the way the monitors all shut off, they don't all happen at the same time, and it's kind of fun the way they just kind of like put themselves
slowly
to sleep
blink closed. Yeah.
So
well,
anyway.
and I have some of the same thing on this system. The bottom three are all the same make and model, bottom at the same time, and my upper monitor is larger and bought it at a different time, different make and model plus larger. And so that the bottom three, even though two of them are running on HDMI, one of them is DisplayPort and the upper one is DisplayPort. These seem to turn off about the same time, but my upper one takes a little bit longer. And I wonder if it's because the different make and model of them, maybe. I don't know.
Could be. I do find that DisplayPort, I seem to get better refresh rates. Like I have a 4K monitor over here that I do use, that I plug into, and I do get a better refresh rate with the DisplayPort over HDMI. I think there's something on DL. They're talking about how HDMI are being a bunch of cotton-headed ninny muggins about
Yes.
standards in Linux.
Yeah.
So you don't have to clean that one up.
No, I don't, which is a good thing because
we're live.
It would be out regardless. But yes, they are being difficult, which is why I'm doing my best to be DisplayPort only. But like this graphics card has 2 DisplayPort and 2 HDMI, so I don't really have much of a choice. But I am buying monitors that do have the DisplayPort option, and graphics cards that I'm looking at, some of the ones that I'd like to bump up to have more display ports on them than they do HDMI, like 3 DisplayPort with only 1 HDMI. So yay, that the GPU industry is also moving that direction a little bit too.
Yep, it's good. Matt's just nodding his head because he doesn't know what to say. It's like, monitors are good.
No, I know plenty to say. Nate, as far as why DisplayPort is better, is because generically at higher end resolutions, it keeps a more consistent hertz rate. So that's why. And depending on your version of HDMI, is it 2.1, 1.2, etc., you're going to get 30, etc. So it all depends. So that's why you're probably also seeing some differences in some stuff.
That way too.
Well, my stance right now is as long as I get 60 hertz FPS, 60 hertz FPS. What am I saying? If I get 60 hertz. I'm gonna have a headache here. As long as I get 60 hertz refresh rate, not FPS. I'm good. Although
That's all good.
once I used a panel that was 120 hertz, the Framework 16, I was like, oh my gosh, oh man, take this away from me now. I can't. Nope. Nope. This is going to spoil me. This is going to cause other problems. Take it away. This is not for me.
You don't
So,
have an
Nice 60
endless
hertz
hardware
toys.
budget.
That's right.
so what as someone who does basically, I'm the weird gamer. I'm still 1080p 60, and I'm fine. I don't care. I'm not give me the high end 4K 120, 240, 300, whatever refresh rate you're gonna put.
Don't lie, Matt. It's because you don't have the budget like the rest of us.
Actually, given what I'm staring at, actually I do.
I would beg to differ. I would absolutely beg to differ. And so it depends on what it is and that I'm looking at. There's a game that we have been playing in 4K. Sorry, I got a tickle in my throat. Gosh dang it. So, maybe. So we got a key from Matt. Yes. For Guardians of the Galaxy. And he was right. I haven't played it that much. But Magneto's been playing it a ton. And he is currently, I believe, playing that one in 4K. And it looks pretty good. And I've actually recently started playing Phasmo in 4K, which is running pretty good now that I've made sure that I've got the CUDA stuff installed on my system. It's running way better than it was before because I was dropping down to 1080p before to maintain my frames per second, so it was actually playable. But with CUDA installed, it's running pretty good. And so most maps I don't have a problem with. It's fine. One of the maps on there is actually a tower lighthouse. And that one you're going in circles enough trying to get to the top, like if your ghost is at the top, that playing that one in 4K with the high definition actually starts to give me a headache because I'm doing circles as I'm going up it. So it really depends on the game or the monitor and how it's all set up. The downside with those 4K monitors, without a doubt, is sometimes your text starts out super itty bitty and you have to do some playing with it in order to make it readable that way. But the crispness of the text is part of the reason why I don't think I could drop back down, because even though I'm upscaling things in order to make stuff readable, just it's so much crisper and easier to read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I wish I could argue with you on that, but I can't.
But it's true, right? It's
It
one
is
of
true.
the reasons why going 4K, at least 2K, is a bonus.
Is that 1440p? Is that 2K? I don't know. I didn't know
2560 by
I think
it's 2560 by 1440 because
okay.
4K is 3860 by 20.
I don't know.
3820 by whatever.
So yeah, 2K is saying it's 2560 by 1440. Yeah.
So there's your answer.
Well, there we go. So speaking of
Quick
fun
search.
hardware, Matt, you were, I'm sorry, rage buying hardware? That seems very
Yes. So I have a laptop, this particular machine here, that from a system specification point, very nice piece of hardware. 4K. Oh, I know, Nate, you're not going to care. It's OLED, 60 hertz. It's meant for a creator laptop. 16 gigs of RAM. There's a 3 terabytes worth of SSDs in it. There's an RTX 3070 with 8 gigs of RAM on it. Like, you can put up to 64 gigs in it, and really, really expensive laptop at one point when it in a 12th gen i7. So it doesn't have the 13 and 14 gen issues that are, frying and not working anymore.
Yeah.
So I had this machine and Windows was an issue. It would detect the keyboard, wouldn't detect the keyboard. Detect the keyboard, not detect the keyboard.
Wait,
Watch
in the laptop?
repeat. In the laptop itself. You go to the BIOS, try to see what's going on. Not the BIOS, the device manager. and you get the whatever the little warning sign is like, oh, unknown USB device.
Mhm.
Okay. So I use Driver Booster to try, which is the thing on Windows that I use to try to find all the drivers without the headache of OEM drivers. Finds it, reinstalls it, does all that stuff. Still keeps doing it. Fine. Okay. I'm done with the headache. Reinstall. I install Linux on it. I'm like, whatever, go away. Linux solved the problem, I thought. Unfortunately, I took this machine to a meeting. I took this particular machine to a meeting, and the keyboard decided not to work. Problem was, I had to transcribe the notes for that meeting. It was a 6-hour meeting.
Oh my gosh!
And this is something that was being sent out to the company. So
that's fun.
I had to handwrite 6 hours worth of meeting and I spent another 4 hours transcribing this from those notes onto a actual system.
Mm-hmm.
So during the meeting, I rage bought new hardware.
During the meeting, really?
We were on lunch, but either way, during the meeting, yes, but so I rage bought hardware, and I ended up with a bigger machine, much bigger, in the MSI Alpha 17. This is a Ryzen 9 7945 HX. 16 cores, 32 threads, 32 gigs of RAM, a terabyte SSD, and a RTX 4070, and a 2K screen at 240 hertz.
Nice.
Except for my wallet cried.
Well,
but
yeah.
Let's not get into price. Totally irrelevant.
Price.
Because you bought this one new, right? That this wasn't a used machine.
This wasn't new, or this was new. This wasn't an open box, pre-used, any of that stuff. None of it. The problem with that is the warranty stuff is going to require me to keep a certain thing on it for a year, which is going to. I'm glad I have other Linux systems. Put it that way.
That would not work for me.
Yeah. And when we were talking earlier, I said the exact same thing. There's no way that I could keep it on Windows for that year. It would absolutely drive me nuts in order to do that. So is it that you don't want to have to reinstall the system in case it needs to go back for something, or what's kind of the thought behind that?
Because it's more of a boutique OEM with MSI being the manufacturer, granted, you can talk about whether or not it's a Clevo body and blah blah, all the other nonsense that goes with it. I just don't want to deal with the OEM headaches because they're not a Dell or whatever. And these guys tend to be more nitpicky, nichey with their kind of warranty stuff. So it's just not something that I want to do as far as that. So unfortunately, it's staying there. However, when that time frame comes up, goodbye, dreaded OS. That normally the last system that I had did not survive the initial boot, which was the Minis Forum V3, which is running Garuda. So, and that will be currently, honestly, probably my primary machine. This machine will generically be sitting here, around here, generically. So
are you going to travel with that one, or is it going to be pretty much stationary?
It's going to be pretty much stationary.
Okay. So why go with a laptop then instead of a desktop?
So, well,
in case there is a tech apocalypse confusion, and he has to grab it and go, it's really hard to hold that CRT underneath your arm.
Yeah. So, anybody who has noticed this thing back here, I already have the desktop thing.
Is that your PS5?
No, the thing behind the PS5.
A Wii U?
No. Well, you're not wrong with the Wii U being down there, but no, that's a desktop. That's a Ryzen 7 5800X. RTX 4060, 32 gig RAM, terabyte SSD. Well, anyway,
Because didn't you just
It-
build that system?
I
No, there
did
was one
build
that
that
you
set.
recently. Okay, but that
That
one
that was
is the gaming
specifically
one, right? The
that's
special
specifically
gaming one.
yeah, this
Okay.
the specific yeah, which is that's all it's been used for. I use it for
Okay,
the
so then it still
Mhm.
stands, right? So that one runs Windows for that specific gaming issue that you had with it. So
Yes.
why not go if it's staying stationary? Why not
It's
go
not going to be.
with the desktop?
I should rephrase. It's not going to be stationary here. I meant it's going to be stationary at home. So
Okay,
I'm not going to be.
okay,
I'm not
gotcha.
going to be taking. Normally, what happens is I will take this, or I will take a machine home. This will be the one because it's the monitor and everything. I don't have a lot of the ancillary space
Right,
that I would need to actually.
So for people
use at
who
home.
don't know, Matt goes to a separate building and has a recording studio that he rents in order to do this show and other stuff. So this is not at home. So he's got
No.
2 different places to keep
Yeah.
tech in. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the tech room, quote unquote.
Right.
So that'll be staying at home. The bigger monitor helps as far as that. The integrated
Yes.
stuff and all that stuff will help. The V3 stays in a backpack, and that's more of my when I go back up home machine. That's my travel
Right.
machine.
Your travel machine.
because-
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay.
So once the dreaded OS on this thing goes away, I will be much, much happier. Until then,
Yeah.
it's I got to deal with it because I'm just not in the mood for after spending, $1,500 on this thing and
Right.
it being out of warranty now. I'm just not in the mood to really finagle or heckle or argue with an
Trying to get
OEM
the
about
keyboard working all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things, unfortunately.
You know what you could do, Matt? This is just a suggestion, and I was, since we're doing this live, and I was reading the chat, and I think,
yeah,
okay.
I know.
What you should do is you should buy yourself a Framework 13 because they're a phenomenal machine. They really are. And then install OpenSUSE Tumbleweed on it, and then you'll have everything you've ever dreamed for.
So here's the thing.
Content edit right here. Oh wait, you can't do
that. So for those that don't notice the tags in the show that we record on,
mine says by the way. So yours
by the way,
with the tag right now.
By the way, I am not using OpenSUSE. FY, nor will I.
No, it says you're only using SUSE.
And Nate says almost unhealthy obsession, and we know it's nice try, Wendy.
And by the way, just so Matt, my almost unhealthy obsession with OpenSUSE has now translated into us using SUSE products at one of the 2 plants.
Yeah. I am aware.
And so I have right now I have regular scheduled Monday meetings now with someone from SUSE for setting things up. So yeah, we're
wow.
It's my almost unhealthy obsession has cost a company a lot of money now, just so we're aware.
Cost them a lot of money or saved them a lot of money?
Yes.
Yes. Bit of both.
No, he cannot answer that question. So I know why he gave just that.
No, it's yes.
But anyway,
how you want to look at it.
Anyway,
Gotcha.
Yeah. So rage buying probably not the best idea to do, especially if you value your wallet. Lesson learned. However, overall, I'm actually quite happy. Like build wise and all that stuff, I'm really happy with the machine. I do like the one nice thing is it gives you. This is more of a. I'm not sure if it's specific to the hardware or if it's within Windows itself. It does give you a variable 60 to 240 rate that you can select in the display selection for your refresh rate. So there is that. So if you want to save some battery instead of have that variability from 60 to 240, if you're only looking at static documents, why do you need a 240 refresh rate?
Right. Why do you need 60 for that?
So, yeah. Well, I mean, you're not wrong, but most monitors have a hard time going down to 1 Nate. You know that, unless there are a few that have it, but on phones mostly. So, with that being said, though, I am not the only one with hardware, Nate. Stop giving me crap about all the hardware I buy.
We can't help it.
Oh, yes, you can.
Matt,
Okay, so we could, but we choose not to because it's fun. There you go.
There's the real answer.
Matt, I'm not giving you crap. In fact, I'm offended you would even say such a thing. I'm giving you nothing but the warmest, fuzziest hugs, e-hugs here that I can possibly give you.
Now you're lying.
But what was that? The intensive care bear? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically Negan. Anyway, while I'm correcting issues with my hardware, Wendy, it seems like you have a correction to make yourself, though.
I do. I got something wrong when we were talking about the Sovol SV04. I said that it came with Clipper pre-installed as its firmware, and it doesn't. It actually comes pre-installed with Marlin, and you can convert it to Clipper. And I've also started playing with a new slicer. So if you know, I had been using Super Slicer. I really, really liked it. And one of the key features that I liked about Super Slicer is for my Ender 5 Plus. I've converted that one over to Clipper. And it's pretty easy. I can just go through, select my Ender 5 Plus. That way I'm not manually entering the machine and all of its specifications into my slicer. And then in the back end, switching the firmware from Marlin to Clipper. Pretty gosh dang easy. Save it as a custom device kind of thing. Well, it doesn't have tree supports, and tree supports is definitely something that I've wanted to play with. And it just seemed like it was slower, like the prints were slower than they could be. So I started playing with Orca Slicer, and I absolutely love this. So it does have the tree supports, and if you have never had the fun of playing with 3D printing, so you have your standard supports that kind of builds across the whole area and builds up, and the tree supports literally look like a tree as they grow. So you start with a single base, you end up getting less overall filament used for supports than the traditional. So that's one thing that's really, really nice about them. And Orga allows me to do that. It is an open source slicer. So just like Super Slicer that I've been using, you can just start with a base of, hey, I've got an Ender 5 Plus, and switch over. If you click advanced, you can switch that over to using Clipper, which is quite nice. And the other like major bonus that I've gotten out of this is things print so much faster. And I'm not sure exactly what it's doing in the G code or whatnot, but it's definitely running it at higher speeds than it was doing it using Super Slicer. Now, I've got a few caveats here. One of the main ways to download it is an app image. So if you're on an Ubuntu base for the most part, that's not a problem. But if you're on anything other than Ubuntu, so something newer, and I'm not sure about the latest version, the 2410 that just dropped, but definitely on the previous long-term support versions and 2404, those are fine too. The app image runs fine, but if you're running anything that's got a newer version of WebKit installed, there can be some conflicts, and sometimes even with NVIDIA getting it to run can be a bit of an issue. Also, if you go to download it, get it from their GitHub page. I will share that in the show notes. Do not use orcaslicer.net. They've even explained on their GitHub that that is not an official website. So you do a search for it, that comes up, but that's not theirs. Get the app directly from them on their GitHub. Do not use that website.
So I'm looking for, where's that? See, now I'm concerned that, do I have the right one installed now?
Oh. So are you using Orca as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So if you pulled it from the website, they've said, flat out there that they don't control that one. So they have no idea if it's actually like for sure their applications or not. So it's not officially supported website from the creators of Orca Slicer.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah,
I'll make sure
little
I'm gonna
PSA out
re-download it
there.
just in case.
Yeah, just to make sure you're ahead. So
Mhm.
it's something that I'm able to go ahead and pull from the AUR. And I have to tell you, if you go about that, just know it takes forever to build. Like, it's one of the longest building apps I've ever done. But it's nice having it. I did hear, was it on the live? I think it was on the live recording of Twill, that they are working on a flat pack for that as well, which would be awesome to have that as a flat pack instead of an app image. And hopefully that negates some of the issues that are going through with newer versions of WebKit and the like. But I'm absolutely loving the slicer. They do have some of the Soville printers on there. Unfortunately, they don't have the SVO4. But I have seen places where you can potentially pull configuration files. So I'm interested in getting that. The team uses a Creality K1 Max. And I know my co-mentor is sick of the Creality slicer. She's finding it an absolute pain. Those really large files, the Coral that we were printing for the robotics camp game, Super Slicer sliced amazingly fine. The Creality slicer would crash, and they were struggling to get it. I haven't pulled it into Orca Slicer to see if it would work. The one kid on the team was also trying to slice it. And I think he was using the bamboo slicer, and he could slice it. It was just too large for his printer, so he couldn't actually print it at the time, but it was running fine. So I don't know. Like I said, I've been really happy with it so far. I love the fact that it's got tree supports. This was one of the first things that I printed with it. So here's a baby thing.
That's cool.
My younger daughter painted it. I need to print a bigger one because our homeschool co-op is doing a trunk or treat thing. So I'm going to be Morticia. So thing needs to be in our trunk. So baby thing printed with tree supports, printed really, really good in under 3 hours at 15% infill. So hopefully I can get another one of these going for our trunk or treats, but I'm liking it. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. It has some other options that are great too. So the inner, outer, inner selections, which helps as far as like where it's laying down the filament to make sure that the outside looks cleaner, it's softer. You don't have the bumps and stuff because you have filament that's staying inside longer during those slower processes of the extruder, so that it helps to get rid of that filament that has been sitting during the slower times out in your inner layers and not on your outer layers. It has precise Z height, it has precise walls, all kinds of stuff that helps with the calculations. Oh, there was another really cool feature that I know that had, and I'm struggling to remember what it was. So I might have to drop that in the comments. But overall, functionality wise, it's way better than what I've been using. Don't get me wrong, Super Slicer is still a fantastic slicer, but I'm really loving some of the advanced features that are in Orca Slicer that I couldn't get or wasn't available inside of Super Slicer.
So I've been using, due to Sean, who does visit the Linux Saloon.
Mm-hmm.
He turned me on to Orca Slicer, and I've been using that. And something I've noticed with the Orca Slicer is it does a better job of figuring out how to print ABS without causing the curling. So
Oh.
yeah, so the way it calculates stuff, I don't know what it's doing different. I don't know, there's some magic sauce in there, some I don't know what's going on, but I've been printing off some different things, and I didn't want to print off in PLA just because it was like a toy type of activity, and so I printed it with ABS, and it did put like a larger brim on it, which even then sometimes I always have it like curl up or whatever, but so it set the settings how it thought to set them. I didn't mess with any of that, all its defaults, and the result was a tip-top print that came off no problems. It didn't come off the platter. I had zero issues printing with Orca Slicer, and I was expecting issues based on my previous experience with ABS and that style of print. So gotta say I like it, and I just downloaded the latest version, which was
Nice.
just
Now I'm
for
really
for
curious
kicks.
as to see how the nylon carbon fiber prints on it. So I've printed that using Super Slicer, but I'm curious to see what kind of changes it would make doing a print. Right now, there's nothing I need to print with it. We do need to make a new handle for the stick shift in my husband's pickup, but we haven't finished getting measurements and all of that stuff done in order to get that printed. And I would like to print that out of the nylon carbon fiber just so it holds up over time, and it's going to be in the pickup and whatnot. But yeah, I'm curious. I'm definitely curious what the changes are there inside of it.
Yeah. Awesome.
I would say of the three of us, I am the newest to Linux, but even over the course of the years that I've been a part of it, I've seen the desktop change. I've seen the names of some projects change over time. And Nate, this is one of the things that you brought to the table for potentially a main topic. So, is your frustration with the change in desktop because you are so in love with the old things with your Commodore 64 and the like, or do you just really not like the new, I would say, like stock style of the
I,
current Linux desktop?
so I appreciate the stock style. Well, I should say, so I did put together a specific theme for my OpenSUSE desktop, which you can download
Right.
from the KDE Looks. This OpenSUSE Breeze Dark works great for me. I like the coloring. There is a new theme that's bundled. I don't like the green as much as the green I chose, but that's not a big deal.
Okay.
You choose the green you want to choose. Anyway, actually, it's more like this kind of green. But anyway, so I like I like the desktop the way I have it. It's not loud. It's not obnoxious. It's nothing like Matt. It's very, very palatable, and and I appreciate that. So how I started thinking about this was my oldest son. He's really getting into technology, and on one hand, I'm very proud of him. On the other hand, I wish he'd play some kind of sport just so I can say "Yay, sports ball" and cheer for him. But anyway, that aside, he could have been he would be a really good linebacker, like on a football team, like a rocket
Oh.
football. He would be because he's built like a linebacker. But anyway, the he's been like installing old operating systems, and just playing around with them. He's experimented with like old Linux, and he's been doing Windows XP and Vista. He really likes Windows 8, which I told him that he's probably sick when you take him to a hospital. But he gets frustrated with Windows because it doesn't do one thing or another as easy as Linux does. So pickleball, Russ, K5TUX, who he was on. He is Linux in the Ham Shack. He's one of the hosts on there. Great podcast if you're into ham radio. I like it.
Nice.
Anyway, he says pickleball. I think that's a good idea. Someone else said pickleball, and I think you just confirmed it. So anyway, he was playing with Windows XP recently, and I was looking at it, like, wow, it's like Fisher Price Windows. I like it. And then I thought to myself, why don't I like having this for my desktop now? And I thought, well, I don't like Fisher Price look, but there's something fun, something whimsical, something enjoyable, welcoming about it. And then I thought about like my early Mandrake Linux days, or even early SUSE days, where there was a lot of fun and whimsy in all of the different icon sets. They used to be brightly colored. They'd have like fun backgrounds, landscapes, or it might have even kind of pushed the boundaries a little bit when it comes to maybe well, like the penguin doing something awful to something Windows, one of those type things.
Okay, gotcha. Yes, mental picture has arrived. I get it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. So like chasing the MSN butterfly, so like to capture it, and it's fun and whimsical. It's just poking, having a good time, and that's probably all offensive now. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I don't know what's good or bad. So anyway, I thought to myself, is all the silliness and things going away? Is that kind of a bad thing? We'd make fun of KDE and GNOME apps all having a G or a K somewhere in the title. It's like, oh,
to be fair, we still make fun of, even as a Plasma fan, like we still make fun of the multiple apps with the K in front of them, for sure.
Right, but they're becoming less and less now. Like,
true.
So
they are changing that.
So for instance, like a lot of the apps I use, like Tenacity, there's nothing fun or whimsical about it. It's a play
Yeah,
on
but
Audacity.
Plasma doesn't make that. I don't know. I guess you could say Tenacity still has a bit of a
Sure,
funness to it
okay.
in the
All right.
name, right?
I withdraw that one. But all right. So, but okay. So what I'm saying is like, a lot of the apps that I use that I'm looking at, for instance, the emoji selector that Plasma has built into it, it's not K
Mhm.
emoji. It's just emoji selector. Okay, fine. And
Okay.
things
Yeah.
have gone away from having the K in front of it. So anyway, also a fun name, Yast. Now some people hate that. Yet another system tool. That's funny. Now nobody probably knows that means that anymore. It's like Yast. Okay, whatever. That's what we're calling it. That's a proper name. But now if you think about like what is the other big, that was a big deal at one time. Now the current big deal is talking about Kubernetes. So what is Kubernetes? It's Greek for meaning governor or helmsman or pilot, and that's what kind of orchestrates all these different containers and workloads and everything else.
Mhm.
And so that is a um, okay, it's clever, but it's not. Kubernetes could be a KDE app. I'm just thinking, but anyway, but it's not as clever and fun and whimsical and silly. It's actually more serious, and
Yeah.
so I've just noticed like this general trend of things being more serious. Oh, and then we have Bill. He says Yas is being deprecated long term. All right,
Oh,
well,
that's a bummer. Yeah.
it is a bummer because it's like so then what are you going to replace it with? Compose files instead, where you have to script it all out. That'd be great. Anyway, so the anyway, I just kind of just something that I think about, like, are computers less fun today? Now gaming used to be a struggle. You used to have to like fight to get something to work, to get Warcraft 2 Tides of Darkness working. I have a struggle trying to figure out how I can bypass this, that, or the other thing so I can play it, and everything else. Now everything just kind of works. I don't know.
Okay, so on
Just
the gaming side, I think it's a positive that
okay.
just kind of works. And as you were talking about this story and how, some of the application icons and that used to be a lot of fun. I back in like the earlier days of Android had won a theming contest. Now these weren't my icons, but it was around this time of year. We're about around spooky time, whatever, fall. And so I was using an icon pack so that all of these bottom icons, let me get rid of all the stuff that potentially is incriminating. But before I show it, there we go. Okay. So, I just got a line of icons on the bottom. It's pretty
Mm-hmm.
plain. So it was basically the same thing, but all of these were like something to do with, I don't know, spooky faces or whatever on the bottom were my icons. Now I knew exactly what they were, but had ended up winning a theming contest, whatever, for my desktop. And I don't do that anymore. Like it's pretty basic now as far as this goes. That doesn't change, just some text. I used to go in and change the default icons, and I don't anymore. I just make it dark theme, and that's pretty much it. Like I just go with it. So is it the fact that like they the stocks are good enough that now we're just trying to get work done? We're in that time before it was part of the adventure of creating something new, and now we're more in a realm of get your crap done and get out.
It could be. I think it's a well, I think computers playing with Linux, that used to be the destination, not to make a pun there, but the destination of Linux, as the fun of just using a computer, to now maybe that part is being abstracted away, maybe because of more browser based stuff or whatever. And now
There's a lot
it's
of browser based stuff, yeah.
yeah, and then now maybe we're trying to get to something that has ads in it littered everywhere. I don't know, that I feel like that's it's
Yes,
the
on Windows for
commercialization.
sure, but on
Mhm.
Linux not quite as much,
Well,
right?
no, not in Linux as much. And I gotta pick this out. So Sean in the chat, he says, I miss apps putting something a bit of fun and whimsical during in the UI during like the holiday seasons. like the penguins with
Yes.
the like the Santa caps walking around or whatever, like on the Ungrub. I think they still do that. I don't know. Or even VLC. Apparently, it offended somebody, and they stopped doing that now.
Right.
VLC.
Some still do. Dark Table does. They do little fun things for the holidays, definitely still for Christmas. And some of the games that I play do that. So Phasmo, we've got our Halloween event
Fortnite.
that's coming out
Yep.
here. See, and I've never played that one, but they do Bendy and the Ink Machine. I play them. Baby in Yellow. That one's a lot of fun. They had a really fun Halloween and Christmas event. So the thing
Those
is,
are-
I can only think of one application that does it, but I can think of a few games that do that I play.
But I think the application should be fun. Or even there was I can't remember which audio ripping tool, some CD ripping tool or a CD playing tool. I don't know, something like that. That he was early on in my Linux days on Mandrake Linux, and I was going through the help section because I couldn't get audio to work, and I was going through all different whatever very well written documentation. But the last thing was, and this still makes me laugh to this day, but it said, if sound is coming out and it's something like, and it sounds terrible. If you hear sound but it's terrible, check your CD. It might be country music, and that made me laugh really hard. It's like, I mean,
so something you'd get from D Brand, which is part of the reason I love that company, right?
Yeah, like D Brand.
Mhm.
D Brand understands it, and they know how to be funny. I think D Brand, they need to have a Linux distribution, is what they need to have, or
that
or
could be
D Brand
entertaining. Yeah.
theme or something, or intertwined or woven in. Just because I think when you use your computer, you should be smiling and laughing, and I don't think now.
Okay.
Using Tumbleweed does make me smile from ear to ear when I use it. That's just because it works so well 99% of the time, and that 1% is usually when I'm getting ready to stream. But anyway, the or the internet goes out and it's not even related to the OpenSUSE, but I want to blame it on the computer. But anyway, and so I enjoy using it, but I don't laugh when I use my computer like I once did. Digging into some documentation, somebody writes something that's a little bit off just to make a joke, and I laugh. And so
that little fun piece that's in there. Matt, I think you're all about the right tool for the right job. What do you think?
So
he thinks I'm the right tool.
You are the right tool for this job.
Yeah, you very much are. So for me, I know what Nate's talking about, that sense of exploration that Linux in the early days would give you, that sense of discovery of something new, right, Nate? That's kind of what you're talking about?
It's part of it, yeah.
And I get where you're coming from with that. I think some of it is, while commercial entities have kind of guided certain development, from applications and contributions and all that stuff. I think honestly, it's a maturing of the general audience and the growth of that general audience. That is, application consumers and all that kind of stuff, or developers.
Okay, but that's not fun. I'm sorry. I mean, I understand it pays the bills, but it's not fun.
I know. No, I know it's not. I'm not saying it's not fun. I'm saying that is probably the cause of the fun is slowly receding out of things.
Being sucked out of it.
Yes. So I get what you're saying. I think where I find the enjoyment, and this is where I've always found the enjoyment, though, in just like Linux stuff in general, has been that more a sense of discovery, not so much the playful nature of like application names and all the other stuff. Like you'll find the occasional one where it's like, oh, that's kind of cheeky. Like it's interesting. And then they go through like some weird change about how they, we want to be more professionally accepted or, whatever. And it's kind of a bummer because it's like, sometimes I think when those changes happen, that's a change in the project as a whole though. And
you feel like changing the project overall.
You feel it kind of reminds me of Solus. There were certain things when certain people were in charge of it originally, that there was a whimsical and kind of cheeky nature to certain things, like discombobulating all the things when you would update. Small little things like that I can appreciate those kind of things, because it's like, oh, some humor in my updating instead of just like checking for updates. And so one of the things like I like, and when I update through the CLI with Garuda, generically, I'm not a CLI guy, but when you like input the wrong password, it gives you like cheeky little responses of like,
Yeah.
don't be silly or, you know, whatever. So it's like, I
Mhm.
can appreciate that stuff. I think it really does boil down to though, to like, it's just a maturing of the audience, honestly, as far as like why it feels like the fun is kind of being sucked out of the overall ecosystem and development of
So
it.
is that the
But
disconnect because the three of us have never actually matured?
Yes.
which is, well, ironically, I'm the weird one out of the group here. I'm usually the one that talks about aesthetics and UI and UX and all the other stuff.
Right, yeah.
Y'all could live in the CLI and be totally content. So like,
Well, I mean, I do enjoy the GUI interfaces on some things. So the downloader that I use to pull files from that one place that I
Mhm.
won't say the name because yeah, they get angry about that kind of thing. But I do prefer the GUI version of the use of that application over the CLI use of that application. And some of that is just quick ease of use. I can put my settings in, put in the URL that I need, pull the file, and get right back to work. But there's something about watching that terminal roll during an update that I just love. Like I absolutely love that process. So it can be a little bit frustrating, like I said, when you're compiling something from the AUR and that takes forever and your cat walks across your keyboard and you're like, holy crap, I hope it doesn't fail. That it's not so fun then, for sure. But
especially
some of it,
especially if it was
go for it.
building those packages.
Yes.
Oh, hey, look. Oh,
Yeah.
now you have like when you brick the system because of something like that, you're like, oh.
Thankfully it was fine. It all went all right. It finished building and installed just fine. But I can kind of see like after the conversation you two have kind of where you're going with the overall feel of this. And I think a lot of humor has been sucked out of things in the attempt to not offend anybody, right? It's just easier to play it safe than it is to add those fun little lines of quirkiness here and there that some people take as a personal attack, even though it's all in good fun. Like comments that are made here on this show, right? We know that it's all in good fun, and most of our audience knows that it's all in good fun. But some people think that occasionally you guys are being serious, especially between the two of you in those comments. So I don't know that I would necessarily call it the maturing of Linux or the packages, the distros, whatever, but more of just pulling back for the sake of being vanilla.
Honestly, I think, and again, I think some of it because of companies. I think some of it's from a marketing aspect too.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
companies can be fun though. Like, there was an example with dbrand. Companies can still
yeah,
be fun, but
yeah,
there is the
but
potential of appealing to more
yeah,
without those things. Hmm.
yeah, because like as much as I love like the Steam Deck and Steam and all the other stuff, it's very plain for what it is as
Yeah.
far as like it's everything from its marketing all the way down to like what it does with Linux. It's like I don't see a lot of humor in like a lot of the Proton repos poking out very often.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
No. Yeah.
will say though, to your point, Wendy, a lot of like the update notes and stuff for like patch notes. A lot of the fun that I can still find though is usually in the game dev patch notes.
Hmm.
Well, if you're in the gaming
The
business, you better be fun. I'm just saying.
You better be fun.
you would you'd think, but
You've got to
Gaming,
dabble
it's a
in that
serious
industry
business.
a bit, huh?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Let's not talk about that. So, like, I think honestly, I think it's just a maturing of the audience. I think it's a
Mhm.
maturing or kind of marketing aspect of the development of those people in the market because of a lot of those are company based developers.
Yeah.
While it
Yeah.
sucks the fun out of it, you still will find those occasional quirks and distros and stuff like some of the old Solus stuff that I brought up. Like you'll still find
Right.
little fun quirky stuff like that, or when Martin Wimpers was working on, what was it, 2004, I believe 1804, and Ryan got put in the show, the release notes.
Yes, that was
So-
definitely a fun addition. And from what I understand, there are some Easter eggs inside of 24.10. So they did add a few in there. Maybe not fun, silly things, more of a like remember the beginning days. I don't want to say good old days. but the start.
There was, didn't they add I think they put back in like the initial startup sound for
Yeah,
Ubuntu.
they put in
But-
a startup
so-
sound.
So like I like little callbacks like that. I think they're
Mhm.
interesting. So there has been kind of a sterilization, I think, a bit on some of the stuff though. Like we used to get I used to love some of the artwork that used to go into like the Ubuntu wallpapers and stuff because they were fun and whimsical, and now they're kind of they're nice, like from a aesthetic looking point of view, but like there's just something about a little too professional almost for
Yeah,
what it
you
is.
can get stuffy.
Like
Mhm.
like I get it, but which is nice. I do like the fact that they still play around with the code names though. There is still a little bit of the fun that
Yes, there's some
with
fun
that.
there. Yeah, absolutely.
I was just thinking, keeping like fun and whimsical. There is one thing that does still make me smile, and I don't know if it's true with all distributions, but at least in OpenSUSE, when you first use sudo, it says, "We trust you've received the usual lecture from the local system administrator." It usually boils down to
Mhm.
these three things: 1, respect the privacy of others; 2, think before you type; and 3, with great power comes great responsibility. See, it's a nice little touch. There's no way that can be
Yes.
offensive. I don't know how that can be offensive. It's a nice little thing there that they can do, and just this, we can't lose that.
I
It,
agree.
it would be nice to definitely pull some back in, and maybe we can get the guys and Jill on DL to talk about it because hey, Ubuntu, listen to them, right? They're starting to see some follow through with things there. So maybe if we get them on it, that we might get some of the fun stuff back. If we have Jill ask really, really nicely, it's gonna happen.
So this is gonna be the gamer part of me, but also the old school Ubuntu fan. Jill, poke at a canonical in Ubuntu to add the Mass Effect Composer's startup sound into Ubuntu. Because
I'm not
literally,
sure what that is.
so Mass Effect is a video game, RPG video game series. The composer for Mass Effect made a startup sound when Ubuntu was still shipping startup sounds. The composer made one for Ubuntu.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So they should really, really, really include it.
well, we'll see if we can't get Jill on that.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Yes. Yes.
I'll have
Last
to see
week
if I
we
can
were
find
running late. What was that?
Sorry, I meant to mute that.
He
Last
doesn't know
week
how to use his mute button.
I don't
still
either,
learning.
obviously. It's more of a
Nate.
pain of like
I don't know how to unmute myself.
content edit.
Wendy already knows what I want to say.
Yes, I do. Like I said, we've been together as a team for way too long not to know. Last episode, we were running long, and we are this time, but we knew we were going to because it's a live show and there was so much to get packed in this week. But we're not going to skip game of the week, game of the month, game of the half month this week. So this is the one from episode 99. Let's bring it into episode 100. What do you have for us this time, Matt?
So this is, I wouldn't really call it a game, actually. It's very not. It's more of like a dinorama,
Okay.
like an interactive. Well, it's more of an interactive dinorama. Is probably the best way to put it, or a tech demo. It is developed by NASA with a game studio. I guess probably our game studio worked with NASA directly to
Okay.
kind of simulate what kind of getting a colony up and running on Mars would be like, but from a very scientific point of view. So a lot of the
Not the Martian.
science and no, not the Matt Damon Martian movie. No. So I saw this and I just kind of chuckled because you don't find a lot of this kind of stuff, unfortunately, anymore, or as much as I would like when it comes to this. There's not a lot of there's sci-fi, and then there's like, but it's like sci-fi, you know, or like I know
Mm-hmm.
Star Trek has kind of predicted some of the sci-fi, but generally I enjoy kind of that realistic science into your yes, Nate, we know you're a Trekkie. At least he admits it. So I enjoy this. This is the name of it's Project Eagle, a 3D interactive Mars base. It is totally free on Steam. Like I said, these guys developed the game or interactive demo of this. I believe Blackbird Interactive was the studio that NASA worked with, and it's actually really it's not a big game. It's like, or whatever you want to call it. It's like 2 gigs. So I just thought it was an interesting way for entertainment, education. You know, you hear like the edutainment kind of thing. This is the kind of this would have been the stuff when I was in school that I would have loved to actually use, not things like Mavis Beacon typing and like those kind of dumb games. I think this is how you make science and other stuff more interesting for those who are more visual or interactive than what generically or the way things are taught for a majority of people. I will use it as in the US specifically because the rest of the world has different ways of teaching. So very, very, very cool. Like I said, it's free. It doesn't cost you anything. It's on Steam and it's like a 2 gig download. And it's not like super high on the requirements list. So nice little thing to add.
Just so you know, you had me at Mavis Beacon.
If that doesn't show my age at this point.
Yeah.
So, Wendy, next time the kids do some sciencey stuff, something for them to look at, maybe.
We're always doing sciencey stuff, but this is a fun thing to add to the loop of things to do.
That'd be fun to. I think that'd be fun to play around with, if nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been around, like I said,
because
years,
it has been.
Yeah. It's very cool though.
Because they do like the project description actually tells it that it pulls in actual data from like the Mars reconnaissance orbiter and like the satellites that are around Mars and that kind of stuff. Like really cool stuff. So
yeah, that is neat.
Yeah,
it's super cool. I like that. That's probably one of your best suggestions yet, Matt. It doesn't have any of your normal tropes either.
That's only normal tropes is all. Yep. Oh, do I have content that I would edit? Yes, you're correct. Me, no, never, Wendy, never. So anyway, while I am throwing Nate for a loop by hopping to a different trope this time by going strictly science, Wendy, you're hopping distros apparently, though.
I am, but before we get to me, I accidentally skipped Nate and jumped to you with Game of the Week. So Nate's actually got some more stuff going on with his Framework 13, and
do we have to?
Not registering. Yes, we do.
I was just gonna let it go, but fine. I'll be quick because I think yours is more exciting. So there was an issue that I had with my Framework where my media keys didn't work. Like whether you hit function or not, they would not. You couldn't volume up, volume down, but like it just worked, and I wasn't sure what was going on. So It happened a couple times, but so far between that I didn't think about it. And um, anyway, so what I found out was sometimes there is an issue where the um, the firmware or whatever it is that talks to the kernel to pass, to say, hey, this is how you use me. It doesn't, like when with kernel updates, I believe is what triggers it, but I don't know for sure that. They don't. Oh, it doesn't talk. So I went to check to make sure that the mod probe files are correct, and to like framework ALS deactivate conf file, make sure they blacklist the HID sensor hub. And
Mm-hmm.
so I did make sure that was there. And then you just have to restart the embedded controller, which is done very easily. When after you shut the framework down, not to sleep but down, you just hold the little power button until it'll turn on, then off, and then once it turns back on, which is about 20-ish seconds, that'll force the machine to boot up normally. But then it will rebuild the firmware, like kind of reparse everything out.
Oh, nice.
And it's a small little thing. These modern computers have these little microcontrollers built into them that take care of these functions you don't think about until they don't work. And so that was it. It was a simple thing, not a big deal. That's all it was. And
there's some documentation on cubiclenate.com.
And cubiclenate.com, I wrote a little up. This is how it works. It's very short. It was mostly just for me, so I had documentation for it because this is stuff I pulled out of different forums, and so I just kind of pulled it in and just kind of boiled down. I'm like an AI that boils down the information for you and puts it on cubiclenate.com. Except I'm not.
Which is fantastic. Yes.
I'm not
Absolutely.
A or I, so whatever that would be.
Well, I would disagree about the I part, but it's your story. I'll let you stick to it.
So, and also it's not distribution dependent either. It was I think it was the fix was from I want to say it was from a Fedora.
Oh, okay,
running
cool.
Fedora, so it wasn't from OpenSUSE. Yep. So anyway, you, Wendy, you have been distro hopping. This is surprising to me.
It's very surprising.
Is it 2019 all over again?
See, when did I come to Linux? I know this is like my I've been around for about 10-ish years, I think. We're going on 9-10 years, somewhere in there. And I did do a lot of distro hopping in the beginning. But it's the beginning of the school year, and the thing that drove me to it is having issues with my printer. I love Manjaro. It's been my home distro for a long time, but the last several releases, right, that the printer interactions have not been great. And I'm not doing the minimal install either. And so trying to get stuff sent to the printer, whatever. So I've got kids' school books that I had to be printing. I've got stuff that I needed to be scanning. And I just got frustrated with all of it and was like, well, I guess it's time to go distro hopping. And Ryan has been raving about Zorin OS. And I was like, okay, right, whatever. I'll go ahead and I'll give this a try. It's based on Ubuntu 22.04. They have their latest release, which is 17.2. Let's go ahead and give it a spin. So one of the biggest pros I have to give it is when I installed it on my Dell Precision 7750. So that's the mobile workstation. It had firmware updates for the hardware. So that was fantastic. Out of the box, have to give it 2 thumbs up for that one. It found all of my printers, no problem. Yes, I've got 3 printers over here and another one in the living room that is going to be changed from a photo printer into a DTF printer. But I use these 3 printers over here on the other side of the room all the time. So one is my HP laser printer. I've got an inkjet Epson EcoTank and a second inkjet Epson EcoTank that's been turned into a sublimation printer. We use those on a pretty regular basis. And so it found all of them, had absolutely no problems. Everything was printing beautifully from them. DaVinci install and ran, like, fantastic. It has support since it's built on the Ubuntu LTS until 2027, and it has keep above other. So this is something that I use all the time in Plasma. So it's based on GNOME, or you can use their light version for now, which has XFCE. And GNOME does have keep above ever. So you can right click on a window and be like, hey, it doesn't matter what's going on, keep this above. I do that with calendar. I do that sometimes with show notes. I will do that with my files window as I'm dragging files and stuff around. So all of that was there and it was awesome. The biggest cons that I found was it came with no clipboard manager in the notification tray. Now, that's another thing that I regularly frequent is that clipboard manager, going back and pulling, especially when I'm doing stuff related to the shows. I can just go to the clipboard manager and be like, oh, yep, there's the keywords that I copied over here. I've copied other stuff since there. I can repaste them here. Like it saves me so much time just being able to go to the keyboard manager for those things. So I had to install one. Another big con, this was on my mobile workstation, that the Dell BIOS fan control is a snap. And this is something that is having to run at the firmware level. And so you had to do a snap control connect in order to get it to work, but it did work. IK8 util, so that's another, if you remember from episode, I can't remember, it's 99 or 98, and I was talking about getting the fans to work on that Dell Precision. It's another one needing to be able to set custom fan curves, and so it can't be found directly inside of the GUI package manager. I had to do a CLI search in order to get that one, and then it can only so just CLI search, but it did install, and then installing fonts was extra difficult. So, like I said, I'm used to Plasma. If I open up the fonts manager, I have all of the install information on there. And the stock one with GNOME lets me see the fonts that are installed, but not necessarily install fonts. So one of the things that I was missing the most on GNOME from Plasma is the move option. So inside Plasma, if I right click on something down in that bottom bar, I can move it from there. So it doesn't matter what window it's on. It doesn't matter if it says it's on a screen, but it's not actually off. Because remember, I've got 4K monitors here. And the biggest reason why sometimes I use that is this fourth monitor, this top one up here, is our TV. It gets used as the TV in here as well. So if that's being run as a TV and I'm just running off the bottom three, I physically cannot see it to pull windows that open up there. And there's no way to get them down other than to switch inputs and move them. Whereas in this feature with Plasma, it doesn't matter if I can see the screen or not. I can go ahead and move it to whatever screen that I need it to. So that was a big con for using it. And then for me, it's an either or. It uses X11. For me, that doesn't really matter, but for some people, it can be an issue. And I actually ran that on my desktop for quite a while. Not so much on my laptop long term, but it ran on my desktop for quite a while because I had shows that needed to get edit, and I was running Nobara before that. And I had some issues with Nobara 40, which I'm a huge Fedora fan. I love the work that Fedora is doing. My home, where I started in Linux, was really on Fedora. The nice thing is it comes with Plasma. It's got a really nice theme. You can get a clean GNOME or other things. Nobara does give you some flavor options for your desktop, where Zorin unfortunately doesn't. The other positives are if you want to run it on your Steam Deck, you can. You don't have to, but it is there. It came with Plasma 6.1.4. So when I was rolling with Manjaro before then, it was before their update, and it was still on 6.0. So I'm like, okay, it's newer. So bonus there. DaVinci installed and worked fine. I had no issues getting DaVinci to work. Plus, you have Proton GE. Now, the bigger cons for the laptop itself was there was no Dell BIOS fan control in the repo at all. You can only use newer NVIDIA cards. So if this is something that you are wanting to play with out there in the gaming world, unless you have a graphics card that's supported by the latest drivers, it's not going to work. They explicitly say in the stuff, this is a gaming focused distro, media focused distro, And so it'll only work if you've got the newest drivers. I was able to find the CLI package for that app that I use to pull files, but I wasn't able to find the GUI application for that. Thankfully, they do create not a .deb, a .rpm. So, oh no, it's not that one that created a .rpm. It was a different one. But that was a bit of an issue. I did have to do some looking in order to get that installed because I do rely on that application. And then there was an app that I was trying to run. Oh, it was the initial launcher for DaVinci. So I did run into a bug. That's the cons should have been up there in the top. I did run into a bug where they had changed a package name from zlib to zlib-ng. And so you had to, when you went to run it, just chill it not to check the packages, and then it would go ahead and run and install. So everything was running fine. I was running Nobara on my main system. It is based on Fedora 40, so it has Wayland not only by default, but X was not installed, I believe, on this one at all. So I had been doing everything. I had finally gotten Orca to run. So there was an update from DaVinci to take me from 19.1 or from 19.0 to 19.0.1. I installed that and Wayland wet the bed. Like, it absolutely crashed. I went to drag screens from my main screen to another one. It crashed. Reset everything. Like, I couldn't use my system at all. There was no moving monitors around. Complete crap show is what it had turned into. And so that's why I ended up installing Zorin on this one, is because that had died for me. Wayland had completely died for me. But printers worked, right? So up until Wayland wet the bed, everything was fantastically running on Nobara 40. So I'm back on Manjaro. You're muted, Nate.
I just pulled a Matt. Actually, I pulled a me. What can I say? Matt doesn't mute. I don't unmute. It seems like it's really odd that Fedora would have that problem with Nobara, which is Fedora.
Right.
Like after that, DaVinci would cause that to happen. It seems very odd to me.
I
So
know.
I know, just, you know.
And I don't know, because I had to do some tweaking and messing in order to try and get Orca Slicer to run, but everything was running fine before then. I'd done a restart, everything was fine, and then that DaVinci package install. Now, one of the tools that Nobara has, and maybe I wouldn't run it next time, is they have some other tweaks to ensure that DaVinci runs. And using the tips and tricks that I'd shared before on DaVinci, that worked just fine without running that. And so maybe next time I wouldn't run that and would see if that prevents it. I'm not opposed to trying Nobara again, because typically, Fedora itself is pretty gosh dang stable. And this isn't straight Fedora, right? It is Fedora with tweaks and changes placed on top of it. So it could be something else there. I don't know. I didn't dig into it. I had work to do. I literally had shows to edit, and I didn't have time to play with it and try and figure out what was the issue in the bottom of all of it. I just went with what was on a USB stick ready to go, which that was Zorin, and got all of my work done. So I'm like I said, I'm not opposed to trying it again. It just definitely completely crashed for me. So like I said, I'm back on Manjaro. Things are printing fine, but I'm back to having issues with my scanners. If that was fine, like if printers work smoothly, then I would have no reason to distro hop at all. But it's the issues with the printers that I'm having under Manjaro that are my problem. Everything else is golden.
So Wendy, why are you taking Ryan's advice on distros?
Yeah.
I know.
That's like,
because
let's be real. That's like taking my advice on distributions that are outside the norm.
No, like Zorin itself ran really, really good. And
Mhm.
personally for me, I'm not a fan of plasma. And it worked like I
You mean
made it
gnome?
work for like yes, that's what I meant. I meant gnome. I love plasma. I'm not a fan of gnome. And I made it work for like a week and a half, right? But I definitely got frustrated with things that were missing or those kind of things. So if they had built it or there was a version which I could install plasma, I would probably still be on Zorin. I wouldn't have went ahead and made the changes. But there are little things that I'm used to, little things that I now rely on in my workflow that Gnome doesn't have that plasma does. That means I had to move away from them. The kids' laptops right now, because we did get their new to us laptops, 2 of them are running Zorin Education. They absolutely love it. They love the apps that come pre-installed with it. It's perfect. My other boy right now is running Kubuntu on his system. The computer system in the kitchen is running Zorin Lite, so that's the one with XFCE, running absolutely beautiful. So I don't know. I don't know what the issue was there. The downside is I have this short amount of time in which I can play with it and make it work, and then I'm back to having shows that need to be edited and work that has to get done. So if I'm trying things out, it might be on the mobile workstation first, but Thursdays I'm always working on that system. We've got homeschool co-op, and I was like, hey, we might not participate this year, and they're like, your kids can come still participate if you want to just work during co-op. And I was like, awesome. So I actually am usually editing or getting started on editing of DL on Thursday at co-op. So that system kind of has to run too. That system right now is running Manjaro as well. It's using Wayland. That's all great, except for Green with Envy does not work under Wayland. That's a thing that I found out. But my desktop, even though they're both running Manjaro, if I try to use Wayland on this system, I just get black screen. I don't know if it's the fact that this one only has a dedicated GPU. My AMD CPU does not have graphics as part of it. It's all coming from the GPU, whereas my laptop has dual graphics, both integrated and dedicated. Not sure what's going on there, but potentially there's something that's being missed. So Wayland works on the laptop. I just can't use Green with Envy to monitor the NVIDIA GPU in there. And I'm X11 on the desktop.
So I was looking at your list here. I see
Mhm.
Zorin, I see Fedora, I see Manjaro.
You don't see OpenSUSE.
See
Yeah.
Tumbleweed is missing on that list. And I'm just kind of wondering. I have actually run DaVinci Dissolve um, on OpenSUSE before, on Tumbleweed before, but
Yeah.
it's been a while, so I don't know. Maybe that's shaky ground there at these days. I really don't know, but
I don't know. I haven't tried it. And I think one of the reasons why OpenSUSE didn't pop up as an immediate, and I think it's probably the same way that like base Fedora wouldn't pop up as an immediate one to change, is these other ones have some of that stuff preset and ready to go. I don't have to pull in the other repos for my non-free stuff. It's already there. And when I'm talking about, okay, I've got these days to get things set back up and rolling, I haven't necessarily wanted to do the extra work. Not saying that OpenSUSE isn't an option. It's just been so long since I installed it. I'd have to go back through documentation to see how to get certain things up and running.
So there's a really good website out there called QIgnite.com. It's got a lot of those guides already built into it.
Well, maybe we'll be talking. Neil and I will definitely be talking because he has some stuff that he'd like to troubleshoot as far as that goes too. So we'll get it figured out. I don't see me, even though like I love Manjaro right now, I don't see me staying long term on it more just because of the printer issues. And I don't understand why. I have the packages pulled that are the specific drivers for these printers, and it's still an issue. And there's only so much of that I can take before it's time to find other avenues. And with Orca Slicer going as a flat pack, I'm definitely one of those people that prefer to pull things as a repo, but flat packs seem to play pretty well. I did try to install Kubuntu on the mobile workstation, and that it's so glitchy. So I can do the safe graphics when I'm installing, but then I go to load the operating system in and of itself, and it's glitching so bad that it's about to give me a migraine. And I'm sure it has something to do with the NVIDIA graphics cards, but that's an absolute no-go. I can't even work to get past that one if the screen is doing the glitching and flashing, because the potential of getting a migraine and being down for half a day, 2 days isn't worth it.
Oh, I agree. If I'm down for an hour, I start to lose my biscuits.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
Well,
Wendy, something that you did mention about Green with Envy not working, there is something
Yes.
that I did see kicking around. It is called Tux Clocker. It is a GUI app that should, in theory, work with Wayland and NVIDIA.
Okay, sounds good. And it's not something that I really need. Like, I don't need to constantly monitor my GPU. It's just nice to know how much I'm using of
Mhm.
said GPU, especially in comparison to what the laptop's doing compared to what the desktop's doing. I like the numbers. I like to
Yeah.
see the data.
Well,
So
so I can tell you what this supports anyway, according to this, is support for multiple fans on one GPU, fan mode, fan speed, core and memory clocks, power limits,
nice.
temperatures, utilization, and VRAM usage.
Nice.
So
Okay.
I will shoot you that in
Yeah,
the show.
sounds good. Definitely check that out. Okay. Well, I guess we're good to wrap it up, huh?
I think
Mhm.
so.
Got it. I know. I've done this a million times, but yes, I'm going to read it. So now it's your turn to toss in your 2 cents on today's topics. Hit the discourse form. Drop us a line under this video or the contact form by visiting tuxdigital.com/contact. If you'd like to hang out with us on our preferred social media, see the links in the bottom of the show description. Find other great shows like Sudo Show. Sorry, Bill. I know you're in the chat. I said it wrong. I'll do better next time. Destination Linux, Linux Saloon, where you can also find Nate, and so much more. Show off your love for your favorite podcasts and shows by visiting the Tux Digital merch store. Grab yourself some awesome swag, like the Gamer Centric. I paused my game to be here. He might have paused his game sometimes during the show. Maybe not.
He resumed his game as soon as we started talking about 3D printing.
Right, absolutely. Or you can join hashtag Team Wendy with some sinister Wendy swag.
Evil.
Yeah, see, all of those
You need-
times that it was going to be content edit, that was going to be Matt.
You need a mute button for him. A dump button is perfect for Matt.
Yes, we need a Matt dump button.
Hashtag evil. Evil
As
Wendy.
always, we thank you for joining us. We'll be back next time with another awesome episode of Linux Out Loud. Until then, keep the banter friendly, the conversation somewhat on topic, and have fun doing it. Oh, we survived. So I'm not going to hit the stop button yet. We'll give it a few minutes to read the chat and see what everybody's doing since we're live. It's hard to follow chat At least for me. I told you I was going to fail trying to juggle things. So it gives me a second to at least see what
I
was
like all
said.
the happy 100, happy 100.
Yes,
Makes
I'm
me think of
super
that.
excited.
Makes me think of that song. You've only got 100 years to podcast. Wait, live? No, I can't remember. You've only got 100 years to live. Yeah.
Well, what was it? DL's on 393. That's the one that'll drop tomorrow. So we've got a long way to go. To be fair, this was DLN Extend before it was Linux Out Loud. And Matt and I were on it before it, long before I did the switch over. Yeah. Nate's done way more episodes than we have, to be fair. So.
But we're not going to be fair to Nate. We don't do that here.
No, I wouldn't. I'm not deserving of
Wouldn't
that.
expect that to happen. Yes. Yes, absolutely.
If that started, I'd be
Sudo show will
uncomfortable.
definitely get there.
Pseudo show, yeah.
Yes, it's gonna be harder. Where right now you guys are once a month, but it's definitely possible.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And maybe you guys won't be once a month forever. Maybe, I guess in the work that you guys do, I don't think it ever slows down. So picking up may not be a possibility, but it's fun. It's a fun show. I learned a lot from it. So if you haven't checked it out, definitely do.
I'm behind on a lot of my podcasts.
Mm-hmm. It happens.
Then I get caught up, and then I get behind. Then I get caught up. Then behind.
So you like binge episodes, get caught up.
Like if I have
nice.
If I wasn't having to, there's certain types of work I can do where I can have a podcast on, and there's certain types of work a podcast is very distracting. So
yes.
I have to balance that out. So anyway, good times, great oldies. I'm working on my. I know we're still live. I don't even know what's going on anymore. But
Did you ever?
No. I'm a little bit like a little space cadet today. A little more than usual. But I'm like 80% complete right now with my a very comprehensive. If you want to do like festive / holiday / Christmas lighting on your house, I've got parts lists, how much it costs, sources for everything, wiring. Kind of show the wiring stuff as well. So I was hoping to have that done before this live recording, but I got distracted by the things. So like fixing an iPad.
Yes. So I need to do the same thing. I know you're going to talk about that, but didn't. I'm not sure where my tablet is, but I broke the screen at least 2 years ago. It's gotten to the point, so the screen protector was keeping the broken screen like in. It was still pretty much usable, but it's gotten to the point that you can see copper on the sides of it. I do have the screen replacement. I got that for myself for my birthday this year. Ordered a screen replacement. Yes, that was back in August. And I still haven't gotten that done. So I did buy the correct glue for that. It has arrived, and I've got to get that done. I've absolutely got to get that done. So
yeah, it was completely unusable, and when so there was no. I mean, it was either you throw it out or you fix it. So
right, yes. So I'm glad you got to join this one time, Thunder Turtle. We don't normally get to live stream. I say it's because all of our schedules are crazy, but really, like, Matt's schedule is the craziest, and he never knows what days he's gonna have off. So we don't ever have like a consistent recording day or time. So it makes it really, really hard to do regular live streams. Though part of our problem before was my internet was so crappy that people would complain, I can't hear you, I can't understand you guys, because it was always like chopping up and cutting. So I think this one was like green the whole time. No downtime there. So that's an absolute plus. maybe we'll start doing this more regularly, but in this case it was kind of one of those special things for episode
It just
100.
worked.
We'll talk. Yeah, it just worked.
I
So
was
thanks, Jeremy, too. Yes.
Yeah, Jeremy, appreciate you being here. I'm amazed when there's like more than one person that shows up to talk to me. So like literally every time that we do Linux Out Loud and Matt and Wendy are here, actually when just Wendy or Matt is here, I'm excited because like, yay, someone actually wants to talk to me. Although Matt's questionable whether or not he actually wants to talk to me or listen to anything I have to say. But
Matt is usually trolling, not gonna lie.
Mm.
Matt's like that. You know, you have my nearest brother. He's like 10 years old, almost 10 years older than I am. So we didn't have like that combative brotherly relationship. We maybe do more so now because we get of a certain age, it doesn't really matter as much. But anyway, like if Matt would have been my brother, I know that we would have been causing shenanigans all the time with one another. Like all the time.
If I was your mother, you may not have survived till 18 because I like
probably not.
just what goes on during the show, like oh my gosh. Yes, no.
Wendy, Wendy. There's a reason we call you the adult on the show.
Yes, and there's only one time that I've actually felt that way, and it was when I was in Texas for World's Robotics, and you're like, well, I don't know when we're going to record for the episode that I wasn't there. Well, I don't know when we record. And finally, I'm like, holy crap, just recorded this time on this day. And you're like, okay.
In fairness, that was kind of on date because we left it to him because he was the one actually recording.
Yes.
Way to go, Nate. Dropping the ball again.
Yes, I drop the ball all the time. Which ball did I drop this time?
Oh, never mind.
It's good. I mean, by the way, Sean said, congrats, Nate and Wynn, for putting up with Matt for 100 episodes. It's true.
100 and some, because when we were deal and extend, but yes.
Give me a second.
So if you guys,
actually
if you don't know, the only reason why I am a host on Linux Out Loud is because one of the original hosts needed to leave for some personal reasons. And in behind the scenes, they talked about making Matt the replacement regular host on the show. And Matt's like, hey, Wendy, do you want to be on another podcast too? And it's like, sure, why not? So that's how I got.
So she started
invited.
babysitting
That's
us.
why I'm here. Yeah.
She started babysitting the children.
She's good at it.
Well, I mean, I should be, right? I've got 4 of my own. So.
Yeah. This is true.
A role I have on a pretty regular basis.
It's good times. I like it because I think our interests, they have, like a Venn diagram, we have, Linux at the center of it.
Yeah.
And then Wendy and I are like robotics, 3D printing. You and Matt are probably more gaming. I every once in a while intersect over there.
No. You and Matt are more gaming. Every once in a while, I have some sort of puzzle game that I do play, but my list of games are pretty short. Like my daughter even asked, "Hey, you want to play Phasmo tonight?" I was like, "Sweet, yeah." So when we're done here and everything's wrapped up, I'm gonna go play a ghost game and probably die. It's great. I'm not very good at running away, but it's all good.
We're playing Minecraft and then also the Portal series from Valve. That's been
been good.
That's been fun. The song "Still Alive" played at the end of Portal. I've taken the time to learn to play that on the piano just because it's fun, and it's such a twisted song. Like when you hear like the lyrics to that, it is such. It is writing gold.
So
I don't know. I'm gonna have to go look it up.
Wendy, to answer your question, it's 173 episodes total for us.
Oh my gosh!
Oh wow! So we're almost.
Yeah, Eric did up until episode 22.
Okay.
And then everything after that, besides fill-ins
'Cause
and all the other stuff.
We were almost to 100 episodes when we changed from deal and
Mhm.
extend
Yeah,
to.
we
okay.
changed that. I think episode 95 or
So
somewhere around there.
we've been
Oh,
lull longer than
wow.
we've been extend.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I don't necessarily know about that because we jumped from doing weekly episodes to
Yeah,
bi-weekly
to bi-weekly
episodes.
now.
But yeah,
But if we were almost to 100 before,
you're good.
I know.
We changed that episode 95, which was on February 9th of 2022.
So
You're gonna
we've been
pop
doing
in?
This is my cameo.
Here's Magneto.
Ah, Magneto. Oh,
Hey, he
so
didn't break
my
the
connection.
camera.
He didn't break the camera. Yeah.
Yeah.
He
So-
says yet.
So- Thunder Turtle is lying to us in the chat. It's very precious how he's lying to us. I really appreciate that.
Well, I think we do have good chemistry, but that's just me. I think we have a lot of fun. Yeah.
Well,
Let
the
us
first
know.
part,
hey.
I heard that. I could hear him.
Yes. So
Yay.
you must have got your stuff. For you, the rest of the live stream you can't hear, but Discord is still going. The patrons only chat. So check out
yeah. Well, we are on
membership if
Discord.
you would like to hang out in there for DL. They record pretty regularly, or on rare occasions like this. And there are times that I throw the join link to Phasmophobia. Phasma. Holy crap. Phasmo and the game that we're
Phasmophobia.
playing in there. Yes. So that patrons could join. So just so you know, that is something that I do. And I might actually do that this time if any of you are interested.
So, in other words, if you want to get entertainment and watch Wendy die
Come on in. Yeah.
in Phasmophobia,
Now, I have to say, I do enjoy like when you used to do more gaming live streams. I enjoyed watching those just to see you fail.
Mhm.
So I think if you could maybe find, I know your time is really tight anymore and you can't do these things, but if you could find the time to like every once in a while just stream yourself dying again, that'd be great.
we would enjoy it. We would get a kick out of
Yeah.
your pain.
really would.
It's yeah.
It's
yeah,
something
I
that
kind
we
of
all
like.
think about.
Hey, at least there's not a game I'm being hassled about playing again.
Oh, we do
Among
need to do that
Us.
again. Yes,
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Among Us. Mhm.
They got new maps now. I haven't played it. I played it a few months ago
It's been a while since we played it too.
But like in my house right now, it's like everyone wants to play Minecraft or something on the Switch.
Kids have been playing
So-
Minecraft a lot lately. Yep. Yes. Well, we are coming up on 2 hours of streaming
Wow,
because this was an
this is-
incredibly long show.
This is a
Plus
this
a
is like
little bit
a
of post show.
Linux saloon business. 2 hours. 2 hours
Yeah.
is too long.
Yes. 2 hours is a long time.
It is.
So, to give you an indication of how many people are currently playing Among Us, according to Steam, there's as of 1 minute ago, there's 6,567 people currently playing Among Us.
Is that a lot? I don't know.
Oh wow.
It seems like a lot.
Well,
Is the
I
stream
mean,
still going on YouTube? I've just got an error. I wonder if it's already
the timeout.
timed out or something. Yeah, I'm getting an error. More than one initiation is using the primary URL. I don't know.
Still showing live.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. But I guess we'll be wrapping up 2 hours in. We're still in
okay.
Discord for the members, so
Yeah.
go ahead and jump in there. We'll hang out there a little bit longer while all of our video finishes uploading.
Cool. I'm going to turn this light off.
Bye-bye. Thanks, everyone.
Auf Wiedersehen.
If I can find my mouse, I've lost it.
Thunder. I
Wow.
like the name Thunder Turtle.
Yes. Okay. We are no longer supposedly live. I will double check that before. Well, I mean, we're still in the side, so you
Is,
still have to.
is
you know.
Rumble down too?
I think I accidentally closed that tab. Oh no, that was in a different window. Never mind. I've got so many windows open right now. I don't know what to do with myself.
You know, we could. I know it'd be rough to do, but it's fun doing these live also.
It
Although I
is
do-
so much fun to do them.
Although
live,
I do like
yeah.
insulting Matt.
Yes, there's positives and
Be-
negatives, right?
Because Matt can't respond to a lot of the insults.
That's why I like it.
So Wendy,
Oh, I gotta click the button. Hold on.
I
End stream.
was to
There
say
we go.
you click end screen, please.
We can't. These patrons cannot know. They have